Hello and welcome to this session. My point is I have to order 3 pieces. For this it's really simple. I call my supplier, he gives me a price and we can order them. At the next discussion with the IT manager, he said we should maybe get from 3 different sources. So of course I called 2 other suppliers and we got 2 other quotations. Now, if what we need to change is an IT system, like is the CRM system, the customer relation management system, it's a bit more complicated because it implies people from marketing in our company, people from sales, people from support, and of course the amount of money into the game is way bigger. So this is what we are going to look with Microsoft Project. How are going procurements, and not in the private sector as I'm explaining it, but in the public sector. Imagine now that public authority, either at the local, regional or national level, has to change one of its IT systems. They will go through a proceeding in which they cannot just, like I did for the PCs, contact a supplier I know and ask him a quotation. They are legally obliged from a certain amount. In certain country it can be from above 100,000 euros, above 140,000 euros, or above 250,000 euros. This is up to every country and also to the political situation. So this said, what I'm going to do is to use this as an example to show the different steps that we will need to do to be able to bid as a supplier for such a request for proposal. The request for a proposal will contain a lot of documents, a lot of specification. The authorities, they will require from us fiscal information, financial information, certification information, and of course the price. But we see that in those processes, the price is one part and the quality, what defines all, comes around, like what the system is going to be able to do, but also are we socially involved? Is our solution sustainable? How much will it cost over time for maintenance? All this makes a package which comes beside the price, and those local authorities, they will evaluate this. So what I will do with you, it's that I'm going now to list all those tasks and we are going to plan this. Because when you jump into something like that as a company, as a supplier, you should better well understand what is requested, what you are going to do, because it's really time consuming to answer to a request for proposal, and also it will use your internal resources. For example, for the CRM case, you will need to have the support of the engineering part because the requests are really specific on some aspects. You will have also to need some inputs from your marketing departments and also from your sales departments to be able to do all that quotation part. So those steps, we are going to describe them together, and I'm going to use Microsoft Project like that. You can learn Microsoft Project while we do this. My approach is to provide you with 2 topics. One is MS Project, learning how to use MS Project, and the second one is to have really a concrete example that you can also learn something, and that something is happening in many companies. It's about procurement. So I will sit and will do MS Project. I think I need my glasses. It will go way better. So here I have an MS Project file, but we are going to start really from scratch. So once again, you should know that this session is live. So you can interact with me. The chat is open. You can simply say hi and introduce yourself if you feel like. I like to have hellos from all over the places. So I'm going now to open a new file. A blank project. And the first thing that you need to do when you are going into a tender is to identify the opportunity. So how do you identify opportunities? You identify opportunities by following official websites where you can find that kind of information. There are many websites specific for each country where you can find which organization is looking for what. So you see I've already entered 2 tasks. Here, those tasks that are entered with that mail, it simply defines that those tasks are defined in manual mode. I prefer to work in automatic mode, so I'm going to change this here. Automatic mode is auto schedule. So this, I'm doing it here. I'm entering another task. Often they are what are called pre-bidders on conferences. It's where you can participate, you can listen, you see all the other suppliers, and we get the information together. So you see that those tasks here that came, they are also manual. So I'm going to change them, but to change them I'm going to do this slightly differently. If I manage to get the right point, yes, you see you can draw down, like on an Excel sheet, the configuration or the content of a cell. So this part is what we call the tables. There are different kinds of tables. I will show you in a second. And this part is the Gantt chart where we have the graphical part. Now we are back here, and I was talking about tables. So you can go here up into the view part, and you see here that you can change the table type. I'm here with the table of type entry, and we could switch to the table of type costs. What you see is that the columns that are represented are no more the start date, end date, and duration, but they are really the costs relative to those tasks. Of course, this is not what I need right now, so I'm going back to the entry table. But at least you saw like that there are different tables, different possibilities of the content that you see here in the table part. Here I have the ribbon, and the ribbon is separated in different groups. So all this is part of something that I call business intelligence. It's to know what's going on, it's understanding what the other suppliers are doing. So I'm going to insert a task here. I insert a task, and I'm going to call this business intelligence. So all those three tasks here, they are part of business intelligence. So I'm going to select them, and I want to show this by identing it that they belong to the business intelligence. So I go back to tasks, here app, and you see here I have the possibility to ident all those tasks. You can ident a single task. I'm going to ident all of those tasks at once. So we see now that the three tasks are idented, and on top of them is what we call a summary task. The summary task contains all those three other tasks that are here below. So this is part now of business intelligence. I will add another task here where I will say that at one point the future customer, those authorities, they are issuing their request for proposal. That is to say that they are advertising on websites or by email that now you can get the request for proposal package, which entails many different documents. So I will call this advertising request for proposal. And this will come at a certain date down the road. What you see is that it's constantly coming as a manual task. Here I could say, and I will say, that here down you can change that mode by default for this project, and I will set it to auto schedule for all new tasks. So I do this. We've said that here we do advertising the request for proposal, and your first task, I say you because I think that you are one of the suppliers, so bear with this in mind. Bid the RFP package. So you need to download that. So you see that it became now as an automatic task. So it means all the following tasks, they will be automatic tasks. Okay, let's admit this, that we'll put to the advertising date one date in the future. This is totally arbitrary, and I will set here the start date. Let's admit that this will be in the beginning of next year. What do you think of the 10th of January? I think it's a good day. Or maybe not, you're just coming back from some holidays, so I postpone it by 1 week. Okay, 17th of January 22, we know that there will be some advertisement. So now identify the opportunity, following the websites, the pre-builder conference. This is lasting over some time, but we don't really know how long this will be, how long this will take. But all in all, what we know, it's by the end of the year we should have identified that opportunity. So let's admit here that we have 2 months 40 days at our disposal. So for this we will follow the website, and here the advertising is on the 17th January. Advertising for us, what is it? It's a date. At some point in time there will be something happening, so it's what we call a milestone. So for this I will define this task, which is advertising request for proposal, as a milestone. To do that with MsProject, it's really simple. You define that the duration of the task is 0 day. Now I can't really see because it goes out of my screen. To see the complete project, again we'll go to View, and you see I have a button into the zoom part here, which is the entire project. This is one of the buttons that you will learn the quickest. So like that, you see that here up has arrived the date of the 17th January. So you've seen now how we can view an entire project. There are different possibilities to zoom. For that, I will simply disappear from a second from the screen, but I'm here. Here down you can play also with the movements you want here, and you can also here zoom in, zoom out, you see. Okay, so now we are in the situation where the request for proposal is out, is advertised, and one of the first important date that we need to know is when is the deadline for our proposals. So I will set it like that, deadline for proposals, when they have to be delivered to that administration or authority. Once again, you see that it is here defined as an automatic auto-scheduled task. I have a fly that comes on my nose. And this is again a deadline, is again a milestone, so I will simply define it as 0 day. This is a milestone. There is another way to define a milestone. You can go into the task information, and into the task information, I think that in advanced, yes, you see that you can mark a task as a milestone. So with this, you are not restricted to have 0 duration days, but you could also have activities that are longer here. This okay. So the information is something to which we will use quite often. So let's say that from the moment there is the proposal, we have here the proposal date, and we will admit that of course I have now to go and talk about predecessors, how we link the different tasks. Of course that once we see that the request for proposal is advertised, of course that we can go and download the package. So we can say that this task, the task number 6, can follow the task number 5. So to do that, I go into the predecessor column, you see here, and I will select who is the predecessor. I have now the number 5 that has been selected here, and you see that we already have something happening. I will also have me come back on the screen. I think it's better when you see the people that you are exchanging with. And we have here a relation that is established. That relation that I inserted now, if I go into the information of that task, and I'm doing this just by double clicking on it, you see that I find here a predecessor part where I find again the predecessor with ID number 5 and the task, which is advertising request for proposal. And you see here that we have a relation that is defined, which is finish to start. This means that the task number 5, which has as name advertising request for proposal, needs to finish before that we can start our task number 6. Okay? So with this here, I already show you that you can have different kind of relations, different types of relation. But finish to start is the one by default that is used by MsProject. Here, the next column is a lag. That is to say that between the time one task finishes and the start of the next one, I can insert a lag, I can insert a delay. I'm not going to use this for this task because I think that you are waiting on that package, and as soon as you get the information, you will go and get it. Okay, so this is how I've set it here. Now about the deadline for the proposal. This is really something where we can say that once it is advertised, it's from the moment it is advertised that the clock starts to tick, and the authority is maybe giving you 1 month to prepare your proposal and deliver it to them. So I'm going here now to say that the deadline, its predecessor, is also the task number 5, but with a delay of 1 month, that is to say 4 weeks or 20 days. So I'm going to do that. And you see that I'm directly into the predecessor part, and I'm going to say that here the predecessor is the number 5. Immediately MsProject fills in the rest with the values by default. And I'm going to come here and change this to 20 days. Like that, I have now my deadline, which is delayed by 20 days. And above my head, you see exactly the new diamond showing a milestone that came here in. Okay, so I think that deadline here is something important that you need in your project to keep in mind. So I'm going to have it in red and bold at the same time. So with that, we know this, we know those 2 dates here on our diagram. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to say that I want now also to have those 2 important dates into the timeline here up. So for this, it's really simple. I select the task here, advertising request for proposal, and with the right click I go down into the menu and I will select add to the timeline. And you see here up on the timeline it has come, it is present here on the timeline the moment we will start to advertise the request for proposal. So here also I want this data to be emphasized. For this I add it in red here up. I said that I can do exactly the same here with the add task that is here. I'm simply going to show you another way to add this to the timeline. I'm going here into the task information again, and there is a checkbox where I can say display on timeline. So like that, you see that on the timeline we have our 2 dates, and of course if the advertising date was important, the deadline to deliver our proposal is even more important here. So like that I have the 2 important informations. After that, once the deadline for proposal is set, authorities, what they have is an opening, I would like to say ceremony. That is to say that they make sure that all the proposals are opened at the same time, and for this they have witnesses, there need to be several people. This is the base of the procedure to make sure that there is no cheating, that there is no favoring of one supplier over the other one. So here I can say the reason that there are those procedures into procurement for public administrations and many private sector companies also, it's to make sure first of all that it is fair, because they are buying with our money, with the taxpayers' money, so they need to be transparent, it needs to be fair. And I like to add that it's also a way to show that there isn't any corruption in the process. So there is the opening ceremony, and the opening ceremony, I will say, to make it simple, it will happen 5 days after that they have received the proposals. 5 days after the proposal deadline. So for this, I'm going to say here, I'm going to say that it is, and I'm going to key this in directly into the cell. So the task that we follow is the 9 FS, and I'm going to say plus 5 days. You see, you can insert this directly at the cell level here on the table part, and you see that this information has now been entered here. So this is the opening ceremony, and from then on we'll start what is called the evaluation by the organization, and this can last I would say several weeks usually. And in our case, we are going to admit that this is going to last 40 days, that is to say 2 months. With that, we've done something really simple, but this, of course, can start after the opening ceremony, so the predecessor is the task number 10. With this, I've added this at the end. We don't see really well the project, so you go to view, and for view you say that you want to view the entire project here, and now we can see the entire project. So we are now with steps that we've defined how it happens on the side of the administration or authority that is going to read and understand your proposal. maybe here in between I will define other steps that you should do before to rush into writing your proposal. The first thing is to evaluate the opportunity. Why do you have to do that? You don't have to do that. You can immediately rush and you can immediately do the documentation and your proposal. Writing a proposal is really time consuming. You will need to meet with your people from sales, marketing, even the board sometimes, or the managing directors, CEOs, depending on the volume of your proposal. So all this takes time. All this will use your internal resources. So what I suggest is first of all to evaluate the opportunity. Is the market really something interesting? Is this something on which we are strong? All this is the evaluation of the opportunity. And on the other hand, what I propose also is to do a risk analysis. Because of course you won't be the only supplier on this opportunity. So where are your chances? There are several things that you can analyze. So all this, I will now insert a new task. Those two activities are here part of what I will call opportunity eval. And I will ident those two tasks as to show that they are part of this opportunity evaluation. I have another video that completely digs into how to do the evaluation of an opportunity, how to do risk analysis. There are several steps to be followed, but in our case, we will admit that the decision that was taken on the supplier side, that is to say, on our side, is the bid decision was positive. So we decided to bid, and this we will show it as a milestone, is a 0-day event, and that event follows the risk analysis. So it follows the task number 9 here. Okay, I made a mistake. Yes. Okay, wrong line. Okay, so now we have those tasks. You see that we have set them here. For the moment, I do not plan them in time. I want to have the different tasks that I need into my proceeding before to set them in time. So then we do the bid decision. We decide to bid for this opportunity. So I will insert now the real work by inserting a task here, and I will entitle this Preparing Proposal. And I will say that this for us, usually it goes from 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, even more could go, depending on the complexity of the project. So I will leave there, I'm going to insert 2 weeks. Let's make it simple that way. It's something we know, we are into that business, so in 2 weeks we should make it. So now, often what I see are people discovering really late that there is a request for proposal, and they have something like over the weekend. I have sometimes situation when we get a call on Thursday, they are telling us, oh, we would like to do a request for, we would like to answer to a request for proposal, we would like to bid, the deadline is next Tuesday. So you have already work and you have additional work, so your weekend you are going to spend it on that. What I would like to say is that when you do your risk analysis, also know where you are standing according to the deadline. And maybe you are not able to understand everything completely, but you want to bid because it's an opportunity, you want to try it. Maybe this is the decision point that you could say, no, we are not going to bid, we don't have enough time. And these are sometimes what we call courageous decisions, because we are all tempted to get opportunities, but now it's maybe a situation where you shouldn't bid. In the risk analysis, you say, no, we are not going to bid. So, preparing the proposal here, I said 2 weeks, and this will follow our bid decision. So the bid decision is the number 10 here. So I'm inserting here the number 10. So we have here the different things that we have. So here you might have what we call bidder conferences. They are sometimes for certain projects where I'm working on, we have bidders conferences. For example, on certain highway solutions, the authority, they want you to come on site to see the different aspects that your proposal must solve. We have also the situation where, for example, they are going to renew some building. Of course, that you need to visit at one point the building. So those bidder conferences, they are organized. They can be in a room, they can be on site, and all the bidders are present. What it can be, and I had cases like that, where the participation to the bidder conference was mandatory, and it means that if you don't participate to the conference, but you still want to bid for that tender, your proposal will be simply refused. So this is one point to which I want to pull your attention here. If there is one point that you must really well understand, are the evaluation criteria. So, to understand the evaluation criteria, I think that this needs to be done before to go to a bidder conference. So I'm going to set a bidder conference here. Let's say that the deadline for publishing the request for proposal is the 17th of January. Let's say that the bidder conference will happen 1 week after. So I will say that this follows the task number 5 by 5 days. For this, I establish a relation where you see on the diagram, I have to remove me just a second to let you see that here I have the bidder conference, which is delayed by 5 days. So with that, you have now the bidders conference that is set, the date is set, and I will say that understand the evaluation criteria might take you something like 3 days to read the documentation, but this has to be done before to go to the bidder conference. If you want to maximize your time at the bidder conference, you should better know all the criteria that you can ask questions. So for this, I'm going to say that the predecessor is the task bidder conference. It's the number 12, but there I won't put everything as I want. I will go into the information of the task. So we have the task that is defined here, bidders conference, and here what I want to stay, it's not a finish to start relation, it's a start to finish relation. It's the opposite. So we'll see what it does. So yes, if now I emphasize here, I zoom in, you see that we have the bidder conference here, and just understand evaluation criteria. So with that, we saw a relation that is not finished to start, but rather the opposite, start to finish, that is implemented here inside. Now I can come back on the screen and welcome to the people that come here, answer a comment. So I continue now. So you have here the definition of the different tasks. I'm going here to the bidders conference, and for that I have understood the documentation and specifically the evaluation criteria. So after that, when I come back from the bidder conference here, I can insert a task which is really the preparation of the documents. I will entitle this preparation of the proposal. That's it, and the duration now of the preparation of the proposal, I will give me something. I'm mistaking myself. I have this which is already defined here. Okay, preparing the proposal is the task 11. I had forgotten that I had it already. So now what I can say, it's that preparing the proposal, once I'm done with this, once I have prepared the proposal, what I need to do is to deliver the proposal. For this here, I insert another task, and this task is important. It's when you will deliver the proposal. And for this task, what happens, it's last minute. You need to deliver them mostly today, not in written form, but in electronic form. That is to say that there are many documents that you need to fill in online, and you need to give your documentation directly online. So for this you need certificates, you need access to certain accounts, to certain websites. You can have issues with your own internet access, or the server is going under maintenance when you want to download those things. So be prepared to have enough time between the moment you finished your proposal and you are delivering it. So it's why here, to deliver the proposal, I would do this 5 days before the deadline. So how am I going to say this? I'm going to say that deliver the proposal is now to happen at the same time as the deadline. Okay? This is dangerous, but I'm going to say it. So the idea is to take the deadline. Here I'm doing following. I'm going to say our predecessor is the deadline, although it has to be the successor. So it's a finish to start, and I'm going to say that it is a finish to finish situation. Okay? So I'm doing this, and what happens? It's that we are doing the delivery on the date of the deadline. Okay, it's fine. The 11th February at 8 in the morning you deliver, and they had as a deadline noon. Perfect, you are on time. But as I said, this is a bit dangerous. This way to put the relation, you see, it's a finish to finish. So we are using here a different kind of relation, but the reality now, you understand that I wanted to go with the finish to finish, okay? But we want to give it a delay of at least 5 days. So for this, I go again back into information, and we are going to give a delay of 5 days. So we are going to look what happens. Hey, it's not what I wanted to do. We are delivering after the deadline. Okay, so of course, I said a delay of 5 days. But what I wanted to say, it's a delay of 5 days, but upwards the time, in the other direction. So I can simply say this here, by you will see if I say minus 5 days. Okay, so I hope I'm not mistaken. And we see exactly that it happens how I expected it. So you see that we have started to have something strange. Huh? The predecessor is in reality the successor, is the task 15. It's a finish to finish relation, so they must finish at the same time, but we would like to have a delay that is before by 5 days, so it's a minus 5 days. So this is a strange relation, but you see that with the system we have all this that is now possible. So with that, I've defined some of the important tests. To make it better here, I will take those steps here and ident them out, because they are not part of the evaluation of the opportunity, because you've decided to jump into creating the proposal. So you've delivered it, and there is one thing that I need to add also here. Another task that is important to understand: from the moment the authority provides its documentation, they also understand that you might have questions about the documentation. So questions can be asked. They can be asked in written form, and they will be answered. But all the answers, they will go public to all the bidders at least. So this is what I name the Q&A interval. And usually the Q&A interval starts as soon as the proposal, the request for proposal is advertised, and will last for a certain time. Let's say that it will last till the bidder conference, for example, or it can last even after the bidder conference. So we will admit that it can last for 2 weeks. 2 weeks here. Once again, we don't see this, or we see it and I don't see it. Okay, it's the Q&A, and I'm going to say that the predecessor is the task number 5, advertising the request for proposal. I'm just checking if I have this that came. Yes, it came here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set it to a different color. For this, I'm going to format that bar. And I'm going to change the color here. I'm going to make it yellow bar. Like that, we know that this is the Q&A time. I will let you see it because I'm just in front of it. So like that, you see that there is the Q&A here, interval. So with that, we have all the elements that are set. I will zoom out. Like that, we see the schedule of this process. And now there is the evaluation. After the evaluation, there might be what we call a short list. This can be something that follows the evaluation by, let's say, 3 days. So it's 18 FS plus 3 days. Like that, we have here the information of short list, and I will name this the shortlist communication. Like that, all the bidders that proposed something will be informed that there is a shortlist. Usually, bidding depending on the sector, the type of activities you have, but the example I took of the CRM change in that company, we got about 12 different propositions. So we evaluated, we read all of them, and of course we kept a short list of 3. And then we enter into what we call evaluation, I would say phase 2. Evaluation phase 2, this gives the opportunity to have demos, but also into certain proceeding you have negotiation. There are proceedings where negotiation is excluded, but there are some where they include a negotiation. So I will say these two tasks here are part of phase 2 of the evaluation, and for this I'm going to ident them. Once this is done, the customer knows to whom he will award the contract, and I will say that then we know who is the winner. So this I will ident it out because it's a known part, and after that, once the contract is awarded, you have the right to have a review procedure. This can last 1 to 2 weeks. I'm going to say that it is 10 days that will follow the award of the contract. So here I'm sequencing the different tasks. So here we have the evaluation period that comes here, and this will follow the shortlist communication. So I'm going first to say that all those 3 and 4 elements here, they are sequential, they follow one another, and for this you see here on top I can link selected tasks. So it's what I'm going to do. I'm linking all those tasks, and what happened with those tasks we are going to see. They are here and they are linked together. So I think it's better if you can see everything. So now what we have to do is to say that those tasks which are evaluation phase 2 here, the demo that I take here will follow the shortlist communication, so which is task 19 here. So we have like that the different sequences you see. So the award contract here, I will say that it is a milestone, an important milestone that I want also to add to the timeline, and I will add it to the timeline. So you see that here on the timeline, this is important because like that you know as a supplier more or less when there will be a date with the result to know whether you won that contract or not. So I have here represented on the timeline 3 important dates. When will the request for proposal be advertised? When is the deadline for the proposals? And here, when will the contracts be awarded? So we can say that starting mid-January, we'll know the result of this request for proposal procedure by the end of April. This is the flow that you see for a complete request for proposal planning here in time. So when can really the project start? Of course that once the contract is awarded, before to start, leave the review procedure time pass before to jump into the project. But from then on, you can start and work on your project. So with that, you see that the review procedure is something to know that if any of the supplier found that something went wrong, was not absolutely according to the proceeding, he has an impression that a supplier cheated or something went wrong, they will fill in review procedure. Sometimes this goes to the legal aspect if you don't manage to have an agreement with that supplier. This, when it starts, when it happens, it blocks your project. It means that this is the deadline to start the review procedure, but depending on the complexity of the issue, it can go to legal issues and it can really last weeks, months before you are free to go over with your project. So this is something important to keep in mind, and I'm going to add now the review procedure possibility to the timeline. So like that we see that there is here still something on which we could wait. And in the timeline here, I'm going also to add the preparation of the proposal to the timeline. Yes, but, oh, okay. I had defined this as following task 10, which is the bid decision. Where is the bid decision? Okay, this is good because it's a good one. It's a good one because we haven't set all this. Okay, this is the part where I wanted to come. Let's admit that the opportunity evaluation here would evaluate the opportunity, which the risk analysis here. Yes, I'm going to do this. Those three are linked together. So I link them together. You see they are linked. So now the question is, when should this happen? Of course that as soon as you are aware of something and you can really understand what has to be done, it's the best. So for this, I will say that let's look, if we say now this, evaluate the opportunity, we do it at the moment that the request for proposal is advertised. So first simulation, we admit that this follows the publication, the advertising of the request for proposal. Okay? So what do you think? What happens? So okay, all this is here. We see that it will finish our bid decision on the 18th of January. You see that the deadline for proposal is the 11th. Okay, it's fine. We can cope with this. We'll have all those activities that will start at the same time here. You will even have gone to the bidder conference before to decide whether to bid or not to bid. But I would recommend to do this already a bit earlier, which brings me to the business intelligence here. To be fair, those proposals, if you never had contact with those authority or that administration, there are little chance that your proposal is going to be the winner one. what I recommend, it's always to try to be in contact, let those people know about your company, let them know about your product, your services, your goods, what you are proposing, what you could offer them. So with that, I think that now you see how I've used that example here, that concrete example, to bring you some basic knowledges of MS Project. And with that, you see that it's not so difficult to plan something with MS Project, and that you've learned quite a lot of things about relations that are possible here. Of course, if you have questions, they are welcome. I'm Christian from Vision 6D, and it is a pleasure to be able to answer to your questions. And for the end, I'm going to let me back on. So I'm back. It was a pleasure for me to have that session. I thank you really from heart, all those that participated, that follow. And with this, I hope that you learned something, that you have new knowledges, and feel free to comment. This session will be available on YouTube, and lead your friends, your co-workers to those sessions, because I'm sure they also will get something out of it. Once again, it's Vision 6D, Christian Alt, and we are providing online trainings on MS Project, on project management. Some parts are about constructions, some parts are about procurement, IT systems, and a lot of other things. And my pleasure is to share with you my experience. You can also have one-on-one sessions with me for MS Project, for project management. These are sessions that are really efficient and appreciated by the people. Have a great day. Bye-bye.